let me know when you guys come in. Hit me with a thumbs up or a comment in the chat, so I know you guys are here. We are. We're gonna talk about something important, a new law that's coming out. So far, it's not even showing up on my own videos. So I gotta figure this out. What's up, Constitution State? Good to see you, Joey Surreal Camera. All right, guys. We're gonna get this here started pretty soon. Give me 1 second, guys. We're gonna be talking about something important here, and one of the things we have to look out for when they come out with these new laws is the hidden shit that they put in there, the new laws that they try to throw at us and take our rights away. So we always have to look out for these new things that they come out with, and we are going to be. Somebody sent me this video on an email, and I opened it and I started watching it, and I was just kind of paying attention to it, and I was like, damn, this is why the fuck won't it let me rewind it?
People their liberty as a result.
Hold on, homie.
Is Congress taking away your freedom by forcing you to give mandatory breath tests in your car?
Ooh, you guys hear that? So they're going to be trying to force us to have mandatory breathalyzers in our vehicles. And we're going to be checking out what this guy has to say about it. Why the fuck can I not find my shit? Here we go. Okay, there it is. All right, guys. Sorry about that. Let's make a couple moderators in here. Constitution State. Nate Skates, make you moderator. Joey, make you moderator. All right. Just so you guys know, I try not to make moderators so you guys can block people. I'll try to block them myself. Unless you guys see some shit that's really foul, then go ahead and block them. But mainly what I try to do is get you guys to get the links and go. That way everybody can go subscribe to those channels.
Hey everybody, this is Jeff Hampton with Hampton.
Hold on, Jeff. You guys, if you guys have a channel and if you guys could share this in your community post, I would appreciate it. This is kind of important. This is something that I think we should all be not only paying attention to, but discussing on our channels as well. It's important that we do that before we lose our rights completely. So let's get it. That's right, Cody English. I'm busy today, man. I love this shit. I love work.
Criminal defense attorneys. Listen, I'm doing a little bit different type of video here today because I'm not one to usually get very political, and I don't get into a lot of political conversations or discussions. But there's a new law that has actually already been passed that I've got a bunch of notes here that I wanted to go over with you because it's going to affect every single person in the United States. Everybody, every law-abiding citizen in the country is about to be shocked with some of the things that are coming our way based upon the infrastructure bill that was passed. Now, let me just give you some background on this. You say, what does this have to do with you as a criminal defense attorney at your law firm? Well, first of all, understand this. We all know that DWI, depending on how you call it in your state, it's a very serious offense that, of course, we know, no one is for DWI. It imposes a very significant threat to the public, and it has cost people their lives. And so as a result of that, though, sometimes, here's what happens. The government will overreach, and they'll make decisions about things that cost people their liberty as a result of that. The 2021 Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act now requires all new cars built after 2026 to implement systems to passively monitor the driver's performance for the purpose of detecting drunk driving. Now, specifically, H.R. 3684, Section 24220, tells us here that what they plan to do is that, the Congress has already passed this. They've already put it into place. The infrastructure law will now require connected vehicles to collect, think about this, collect and process data to detect impaired driving. It can monitor the driver's behavior, and it can also affect steering. It can literally take over the control of the vehicle if the algorithm determines they think that you're doing something improper. So HR 3684, known as the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, includes these provisions related to drunk driving prevention. And these provisions that I'm going to talk to you about here today are going to be required new safety features in all cars, all vehicles, all trucks. And car manufacturers are taking steps here to, I mean, they have no choice. They're taking steps to be in compliance with the new federal law. And there are some companies such as Volvo and Ford who are already using some of these technologies and plan on having in their car next year in 2024. So if you plan on buying a Volvo or a Ford, get ready. Many of these technologies are going to be in there all.
In California, by that time, I think they already want everybody to have hybrid vehicles or electric vehicles and stuff like that. It's an overreach, and that's exactly what they do with these acts, these new laws that they come out. And that's why I look at politics as a fucking joke. And both sides try to claim that they're right from their side. Oh, I'm right from my side. You may be right from yours, but I'm right from over here. Look, man, the left wants to create more government and the right wants to enforce it. That's the bottom fucking line. And that's how they get away with pulling shit like this all the time. They write this shit and they make it seem like, oh yeah, we're benefiting the fucking poor. Or we're going to help the people here somehow. More freedom. Just all bullshit, And this guy right here is pinpointing exactly what's happening with this new act. And he's going to show us exactly what they're trying to do. Yeah, that's right. Fucking hazy unfiltered. True shit, brother. Check this out. Pay attention to what he's about to say, guys.
Ready. So, now, the problem is, everybody says, this sounds wonderful, right? It's a good thing. It'll keep people from drinking and driving. The problem is you have to understand the implementation, and you have to kind of peek behind the curtain to see the effects of what takes place, okay? Let's take a look at this for a minute. So here's what it says. For connected vehicles to monitor drivers, there will be some form of technology that will require the collection of data while a driver is in the car's interior. The interior of the car, and here's the issue. This now collides with what the law says. Under New York versus Class 475 U.S. 106, a Supreme Court decision decided back in 1986, the court has said that the interior of a car is considered a place with a reasonable expectation of privacy, even under the Fourth, as defined under the Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution. So the problem is we also know people, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't exactly feel very comfortable knowing that some algorithm or some monitoring device can take over my car whenever it wants to, and I don't have any control over it. So the problem is when we look at...
Time to go back to the horse and buggy or what? Fucking hell. Yeah, I got me a classic too, bro. Real shit. Smog free. Basically, they're gonna want to put not only these new things that can, stop your car if they think you're drunk driving. They can fucking hit a switch and stop your car. Let me ask you this: if you have a rogue government agent that can just flick a switch to stop your car, can this rogue government agent flick a switch and make your car speed into a tree? Like, you know what I'm saying? This is crazy shit, guys. I don't want nobody in control of my vehicle but me, man. Real shit. Sign your rights away when you get your license, Cody. That's right. Now let me ask you this. Will people actually start looking more into this? And I hate to say this, but traveler versus driver. Now, let me ask you guys this. What if these new laws were put in place for actual drivers, but not for travelers? Would that be something you would consider? They would actually have to be considering that they've made a mistake for all these years, right? I mean, just think about it. But there is no fucking let's meet halfways or nothing with the government. Fuck no. They're going to take it all. They want it all, folks.
this type of structure, one of the things we have to figure out is we understand that according to this new bill, that the interior of the car is going to be monitored. There's going to be a data collection of everything that the driver is doing as they drive the vehicle. And so one of the things that we see, for example, a video recording of the interior is going to be allowed to record certain things. Racial or ethnic information. It will record the likeness of the driver and the passengers. And it will, if the vehicle can monitor the speed limit of the road, it can provide precise geolocation. It's also likely going to be able to monitor your speed. So it's going to be able to tell if you were speeding at any certain period of time. This is all the stuff that's talking about that's in the infrastructure bill that's required. Now,
pretty soon they're going to say that there is a drought and you can only take 2 to 3 shits a day. So they're going to put a monitoring device on your toilet. And if you take a 4th shit that day, what's going to happen is you're going to get a ticket in the mail because this device is going to record how many turds you actually drop down into the sewage. So then it could possibly be like a $350 to $500 fine, depending on, you know, if you're overeating in the day, what you're eating. Are you eating too much? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is becoming too much. The government is like, we have to count. We have to ticket you for speeding. We have to ticket you for this, for that. Too many shits. You know, are you opening your fridge too many times? You know, opening your fridge more than 8 times a day eventually is going to be illegal. Just like they started confiscating fucking gas stoves and shit. You know what I mean? I mean, come on, guys. What the fuck? It's like, this is a joke, man. It's a parody of reality. This shit cannot be real. They're counting our turds.
Companies and manufacturers are justifying this. They're saying, okay, look, first of all, they didn't pass the law. They just have to be in compliance with the law. But they're not against it either. Many of the car companies are great with this because they said it'll help to be able to enforce traffic laws. But one could argue that the collecting of this sensitive information could, number one, it's unnecessary, right? Why are we having to collect all this information if we're just trying to prevent drunk driving? But it invades your reasonable expectation of privacy by how you operate your car privately. So the collected data, here's where it gets really this is where it gets kind of like, you know, crazy Minority Report movie type stuff. Here's where it gets a little crazy. The collected data could be misinterpreted by the algorithm. Suppose the vehicle monitors the driver's behavior to identify drunk driving and stops the vehicle after what it believes to recognize as drunk driving behavior, but then it determines later it wasn't drunk driving behavior. It was somebody with diabetes that had low blood sugar, and it made them appear to be drunk. What about if it's someone that's tired or sleepy, or maybe it's a sudden medical condition? I mean, maybe the worst thing that could happen is to stop the vehicle and drop it in the middle of the road. And there's lots of other questions we're going to ask about this too. So one answer to this is, and I'm going to tell you, here's the answer to one of the proposed things that was debated in Congress, was to use the infrastructure law would allow cars to be equipped with a breathalyzer and a video monitoring device to assure that the data collection is actually drunk driving. So now they can collect the data and watch you all the time. Actually watch you on video as part of it being built into the vehicle.
What if you're a John and you're just driving around picking up hoes all day and shit? They're going to count how many hoes you get and going to send you all kinds of tickets in the mail? Jeez. Talk about an overreach, man. Real shit. These guys are crazy. Back in the day when people used to ride around in lowriders and shit, you know, used to go with your homies and go down in Bakersfield. There was a street on Chester that everybody used to cruise up and down. That shit was bad ass. Car clubs everywhere. Fucking homies up and down the streets. Cholos. It was crazy. It was dope as fuck. I used to go as a kid, right? My sister used to go. She used to hook up with cholos and shit. And I used to go and hang out as a kid and just sit in the backseat and look. One time it was funny because we were with a bunch of homies in the car, and we're all driving, and we looked over and there was a bunch of girls in the car next to us, but they were all big, and so we were just all like, it was fucked up. But anyhow, what I'm trying to say was they created an ordinance in in Bakersfield, and they were like, nah, no more cruising on Chester, and they were giving people's fines if you didn't have nowhere to go. Like if they would stop you, and be like, where you going? You got people in the car. They were giving people tickets and shit. They were getting out of hand with this overreach and telling people what they can and can't do, and that was, I would say, that would be 100% complete civil rights violation, right? Like violating the First Amendment, freedom to assemble, freedom to whatever. And I remember that shit, and this reminds me of that. Like they're gonna start like overreaching and giving you tickets for every single little thing, and it's like it's unbelievable, man. What they're trying to do, and the fucked up thing is this. Okay, I'm gonna tell you guys something. This is what scares me personally, is both sides of politics are doing this shit to the people. And the fucked up thing is the people are out there fighting each other, arguing with each other about this and that, this and that, this and that. And these motherfuckers in suit and ties in Washington, they're having a laugh. Wow. See what I'm saying? They tried doing that to lowriders in Glendale, Arizona. I got the cop on video telling me the plan to remove them off the roads. And what I was talking about was years ago, man. Fuck, how old am I? This shit had to be like, I would say about 25, 26 years ago, what I'm talking about. People used to cruise down Chester in Bakersfield. And then they moved from cruising on Chester to cruising up and down Niles. And the shit would get gangster, man. There'd be shootouts and shit. People dying at the gas station. All kinds of dumbass shit. But if you weren't getting involved in all the bullshit, you was having fun. But they tried to stop fun. So anyhow, enough about my stories. Let's pay attention to what this man is saying. Some important shit. I'd actually like to interview this.
This would reduce the chance of a driver's behavior being caused by something other than alcohol, so it maybe would help not unnecessarily stop a vehicle. But then it becomes even more complicated, because now you're talking about a passive breathalyzer. What if it picks up the alcohol content of a passenger in the car and it doesn't pick it up of the driver? Now, I know a lot of this new technology, they're trying to create safe harbors. They're trying to create ways to eliminate these sort of things. But anytime you start introducing wholesale technology like this, making it mandatory on everybody, you're going to end up having a violation of people's rights. So just think about this. I'm going to go through this. Per the bill, the proposed safety device will, quote, passively monitor the performance of a driver of a motor vehicle to accurately identify whether that driver may be impaired. According to the RIDE Act bill, it states to require the Secretary of Transportation, acting through the administration of the National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration, to prescribe a federal motor vehicle safety standard for advanced drunk and impaired driving prevention technology, and here's the catch one, and for other purposes. What does that mean? What is the other purposes? And of course, that's the problem. That's the catch-all language. That's the stuff that Congress throws in there to be able to collect data on everybody for any reason that they want to. And so anybody who wants to enjoy the liberty of operating a motor vehicle now will have to be forced into this framework where the National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration is going to be able to use the equivalent of surveillance technology on everything you do in your vehicle. And, there's some questions that come up on this. In fact, one of the things that it says in the bill states this: technical capability. Any advanced drunk and impaired driving prevention technology required for new passenger motor vehicles under subsection A that measures blood alcohol concentration shall use the adult legal limit for blood alcohol concentration of the jurisdiction in which the passenger motor vehicle is located. Now, the question has to come up here. In order to determine that means it sounds like there's going to be mandatory breathalyzers required in every single vehicle. Does that mean there's going to be facial scanning technology that's required? Something else here? What exactly are they going to require us to do in order to be in compliance with these things? And the reality of it is the bill includes something that's the equivalent of a kill switch. In other words, here's what the bill says. It says, because driving prevention surveillance technology for drunk, impaired, or other purposes, by the way that it talks about this, it's passively It must passively monitor, but the moment that it comes up that it determines that there's a violation, that it will stop that impaired driving. So there's a preventative measure that's associated with it. So think about this. This kill switch technology is running in the background. So whatever you're doing as you're driving down the road, if the algorithm determines it thinks you're doing something off base, right? Then all of a sudden it's just a kill switch. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean that if you deviate from your normal driving habits that the kill switch kicks in? Does that mean that it's going to learn your specific idiosyncrasies of how you drive? And, I've driven with people who do this all the time on their accelerator. I've driven with other people who weave within their lane like this because I don't know why. They drive me crazy when they drive like that. But that's just how they drive, right? Does that mean it violates something according to the law? And so the problem is the kill switch system outlined by the RIDE Act basically says that it was such a system to be able to distinguish impairment. But the problem is it doesn't tell you how it's supposed to do it or how it's supposed to be set up. How does it distinguish between drowsiness? If it's designed to combat the problem of impairment, does that mean it's going to literally seize up? Is it going to stop on the road? Is it going to immediately pull you over to the side of the road? How are all these things going to be determined? By the way, here's the other issue. The term impairment is very much open to interpretation. When I read this and I look at what it says, we simply looking for symptoms of drinking, or are we trying to determine someone had a toke of a marijuana cigarette? And how do we determine whether that person is impaired or not? And here's the real question, who has access to this data so that they can make use of the kill switch system? Will the police be given access to this data without a warrant? And this is where you start talking about losing your civil liberties. And this is where it comes in. And what I'm talking about with DWI cases. Mm-hmm. And not just that, but your insurance companies. Are these people going to be able to get access to this stuff and use it against you in some way? Is it all going to be public source information for people to get access to it? And if insurance companies can get access to this stuff, they can use it as a reason to increase your insurance premiums as a result of that. And so, did they...
Fucking A right. It's a pre-crime bill. In other words, they want to be able to go into time to stop you. And they're going to act like it's preventing shit. Unbelievable. Not only that, I have a video that I haven't published yet. It was a cop watch, right? I thought we were going through a checkpoint. They just waved us through. But then we parked and we got off and we walked up. And it was a California Highway Patrol. He was just in the neighborhood, but they did set up a checkpoint. Cars would pass by. They would be made to slow down and go through it. And the cop would jump in the middle of the road and tell the cars to stop. Go through the checkpoint. And when you went through the checkpoint, they would ask you if you wanted to, take your car through the smog check so that you could possibly get like a free coupon or some shit where the state could help pay for your smog if your car needed it or whatnot. Now it sounds good. It sounds like they're doing something for the people, like they're helping. And if they want to help, they can help, right? They don't have to do like this kind of checkpoint, right? Because now look, you mean to tell me that this trooper is going to be all on the up and up and not how would I say this? Profile anybody, right? Maybe somebody doesn't look like they should be in the neighborhood, so he's gonna fucking make them go into the checkpoint there. They're not just gonna be asking if you want to, take your car through, get a free smog check type shit. Motherfucking trooper's gonna be asking for ID and all kinds of shit. And I'm gonna post that video. I'm gonna work on it tonight, and I'll post it tomorrow, so you guys will know what I'm talking about. It's like, what kind of checkpoint is this, man? I even asked the cop a couple questions, and I was nice. I was trying to, draw bees with honey instead of flies with shit, and I wanted to, get it out of him to see what he was really there for, and then I kind of let him know, hey, man. You really need to be jumping in the middle of the road? Isn't that a little dangerous? What about officer safety? Pointing out their police hypocrisy. What I call police hypocrisy 101. Anyhow, let's keep paying attention, guys. I don't know if anything that I'm saying is making sense, but shit, I'm glad you guys are still here with me.
Are they now going to try to create ways to force you to change your driving habits? Understand the manipulative effects that this can have, and it opens it up. It's really to the Wild West of other people being able to use these type of things against you. And so the other question I have on this, when it talks about driving prevention in the statute, does that mean that it's actually going to be looking at the vehicle when it's sitting in park? Like, is that going to be active when you're just sitting on the side of the road? What if it's running, but it's in park? Is it going to kill the car? Is it going to work all the time? Anytime you try to do anything in your vehicle, is that what it's going to do? The problem is, this is all going to be installed in new vehicles. So there's not going to be any way around this. Any new vehicle that you buy is going to be required to do this. So it means Big Brother and his agencies are going to be constantly monitoring what you do, how you're driving, and if you're a threat to public safety. And they get to make that determination, right? You may have never been in a car accident in your entire life, but they may still deem you to be a threat to public safety, okay? So you should you do something, what happens now? If that information is available, what ends up taking place? What if you end up violating that and the algorithm triggers you? Does that mean you're sitting on the side of the highway? I can imagine, I'm here in Dallas area. Imagine being pulled over on the side of the road because your kill switch kicks in. You're just sitting there. How long do you have to sit there? How long are the police called? These are all issues that you have to consider in this situation. So, and by the way, how protected are these structures? How are they open to someone that could hack into this? Is it open for other people to be able to get an open API to get access into this sort of information? So returning back to the legal interpretation here, here's one of the other issues that comes up that I ask about is, does the term impaired driving mean? What does that actually mean? Think about this. Currently, it isn't defined by any legislation. So does that open it up to whatever the National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration means? Is that whatever NHTSA wants to say it is? And so as a result of that, can you imagine the extent of algorithms written because you choose to pass someone or get to the line? How do you be able to separate the line between your normal driving behavior and whether or not someone else is be able to determine whether or not you're actually intoxicated? Now,
let me ask you guys this. You know what they're going to do? I can already see this happening. They're gonna sell you that fucking car, and a lot of people are gonna buy that car voluntarily. That's the crazy thing about all of this shit. Just like our phones, man. We piss about social media and being on the fucking grid and all this and all that. Well, we're all fucking on it. We're all on it. We do this shit to ourselves, guys, because we fucking let them do it. I mean, what can I say? It's the truth. We allow it. We voluntarily give up our rights.
Listen, I'm trying to get to this. There is a risk of misinterpreting this data, and that's the biggest problem that we run into. It'll lead to false accusations of drunk driving. It 100% will happen because none of this tech is going to be dead on, and these algorithms have to learn. It's not going to be foolproof. So I'm going to give you some examples. I talked to you earlier about Ford and Volvo. They've both been developing alcohol detection systems to prevent drunk driving that are going to be introduced on their vehicles starting in 2024. One of those is known as the Driver Alcohol Detection System for Safety. This system uses specifically breath and touch sensors to measure the driver's blood alcohol concentration, and if it exceeds the limit, the vehicle's ignition system is prevented from starting at all. Okay, that's one way. All right. Now the one being developed by Volvo is known as the alcohol lock, and here it uses sensors in the vehicle's gear shift as well as the ignition button. When you push the ignition button to detect the driver's blood alcohol concentration through their skin, and if the BAC exceeds the legal limit, the vehicle again is disabled. The real question is not just that though. Who's contacted? What else is that reported to someone else? In what way can that be used against someone? And so these technologies, I know they're aimed to prevent drunk driving. The problem is they're in their testing phase. No one knows what their margin of error is. They don't know whether, and none of these are foolproof. Even if you use the most reliable systems that are out there right now, the actual breath alcohol concentration that you use through a breath test, used by the Intoxilizer 5000 and others for DWI testing, those are not impenetrable either. They usually have at least some range range of a margin of error, a variance built in. Even blood tests have some margin of error on them, okay? So it's important to understand this. Now, Ford's system uses a touchpad on the steering wheel that detects alcohol through the driver's skin. Now, this is supposed to be used to be unobtrusive, and it's supposed to be used to activate, and it's supposed to basically deactivate the ability for the vehicle to start if it is able to determine alcohol. But once again, what is the margin of error? How is this stuff regulated? So the use of these decision-making technologies, I know they're being used to prohibit drunk driving, but they create serious ethical questions, legal ethical questions. Now, here's where I want to get to and finish the last part of this. Think about this. Once people get access to this data, it can be used to manipulate you and punish you or reward you. And this is where I want to get into this term known as social credit.
Bam! I knew it. That's the same shit that's happening in China already with the Chinese people. They're like on a social credit scoring system, and fuck. Back to the horse and carriage, people. Let's get back to the horse and carriage. Look, I'm gonna talk about some crazy shit that's crossed my mind as a kid, right? You know, I remember watching the Al Gore's Inconvenient Truth, and I'm like being scared, and I'm like, oh my god, and I bought into all this shit, and I've been, like I said before, I've been slapped by the left and the right. I've considered myself part of both sides or whatnot, and they confuse us. They easily confuse us, and they're both sides of government, I believe, are playing a game on the people. And I used to see things, as a kid. So even when I watched The Inconvenient Truth, I told myself, like, look, well, what the fuck? What do we have to do as a people? Like, go back to living like cavemen? Like, don't use the lights, just use sunlight. You know what I mean? Like, shit like that. And I kind of went crazy trying to figure things out in my head. But I began to understand certain things, and when a long time ago, when I read that how China uses this social credit scoring system, I just knew that we were already headed there. Not like, oh, they're gonna do it to us. No, like, we're fucking doing this to ourselves. Like, as a human race, we are doing this shit to ourselves, and we allow it. And we're afraid of the government doing a lot of things to us, but in reality, we do a lot of this shit to ourselves. We sign that contract. If you really think about, if you want to talk about contracts, what contracts do you have with the government? What, DMV, taxes? Those are the contracts that you pretty much sign. We're headed there, to the social credit scoring system, and we're not. In China, they have this company. In the United States, you have like a lot of different things. Like you have Uber, you have companies that will do things for you and deliver things for you. You have you could book hotels. You got Expedia, and a lot of different shit and a lot of different things. You could look for food, travel, entertainment. Over there in China, they have like one social media that covers, or one internet thing that covers everything. It covers every fucking thing, all in one. And they are heavily, heavily censored by the government. And that social credit system is running their scores through that. I've been paying attention, folks. I've been studying this shit. Am I making any sense to you guys? Let's go through some quick comments right here. Yeah, we don't all want to go back to the horse and carriage, but I tell you what, just what are we gonna do? We're signing the contracts. Many of you guys that are on here, and we are a lot of us fight for freedom and fight for justice and stuff like that. And a lot of us, we're seeing things like trying to understand the difference between driver and traveler and all these things. We're trying to understand law, and nobody really interprets it for us, so we're kind of left on our own here to try to figure this shit out. And the people in government, the people that that are in control of certain things, they're way ahead of the game. Way ahead of the game. Um, so I don't know. I don't believe that our government is 100% guilty of doing this to us. I mean, will they put it on the table and allow us to grab at it? Yeah, I think that's what's happening here. Um, yeah, and I'm not saying that we should all go back to the horse and buggy, but shit, you guys are licensing your fucking horsepower. Let's not beat around the bush. You're, do you have a driver's license? Do you use it? I mean, it's the bottom line truth is we sign these contracts. I'm guilty of it just like every single one of you. Not every single one of you. There's a lot of people that are off grid. But if you're using your fucking phone, then what can we say? It's the truth. We're all gonna fucking press I agree.
Score type systems. Now, these type of systems, if connected vehicles can collect drivers' specific behavioral data for purposes for impairment under the infrastructure law, it opens it up that rules and regulations may now penalize drivers for certain behavior that they don't like and use a score. They may keep score. Now, this social credit score, it's almost like a social scoring system where the government says, oh, you did good, you good little puppy, or you did bad, go sit in the corner. It's literally the way it works. And you say, oh, this would never happen in the United States. Well, let me tell you, this is similarly to how it was introduced in China. So when you look back on it, China did the very exact same thing. It first rolled out this system in China back in 2014 and has essentially would put people, I mean, China has now taken this to the extreme. They have now rated individuals in China to put them on a blacklist or a whitelist depending upon your individual score. So if you are very bad, you're on a blacklist, and there's certain things you can't do. If you do really well, you're on the whitelist. You can do all these other things. It's literally social engineering. It's social manipulation. And so the social credit score system is built on two parts. Here's how it works. Number one, data collection, and then reward and punishment based on that data collection. So essentially, data collection is performed in a multitude of different monitoring systems that could be used exactly the way it is right here in what I'm talking to you about in the infrastructure bill. Now, most of those ways that they evaluate this are kept secret. Certainly they are when you talk about this in China, but they gather all kinds of everything from credit information to purchasing information to criminal background, compliance with court or administrative orders, traffic violations, online behavior. This is what China is doing. But it started by introducing it in a very small way, and it grew from there because the state got access to all this information. So this system, let me tell you what China did.
So basically the way they did, and I'm guessing this is what he's going to say, is this big-ass fucking company, I forgot the name, but I did a lot of research on this company. This big-ass fucking company created this fucking, like I said, like Uber and all this shit. Everybody's like, fuck yeah, I need to order some food and I'm gonna travel and I fucking do this and order my online books here. Fucking it's cheaper over here and do this and that. And they created this big ass fucking social media company and website, social media. And it includes everything, man. It fucking includes like the what's that shit called where they could fucking like text each other, like a texting app. GPS, every fucking thing is connected to their one website thing, one app. Everything. So how the fuck are you gonna live? How are you gonna stay off grid over there? Everybody over there is ordering food and traveling and doing all kinds of shit. And then that company fucking Once that company grows and you have billions of people following that shit, and that's when they fucking overtake the whole system. And the people over there pretty much, I mean, did they voluntarily give up their rights? I mean, I don't know. I don't fucking know. But it seems like that's what we're doing here in the U.S., man. We're signing on for this shit. And I'm fucking just as guilty, guys. I don't want to be a hypocrite here.
China's to the point now, the authorities have used social credit scores to ban individuals from doing this. Think about this: to ban people from purchasing flights, making reservations on high speed express trains, from staying at luxury hotels. And for these, and here's another one: if they think you're playing too many video games, China will literally come in and actually slow down your internet speed because they think you're a chronic gamer. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. That's how in their life they are. So the punishment can also take more extreme measures. China has also done things that, based off, if you take a stance separate from what the state takes on this, you'll be denied entrance into a university, you'll be denied employment. But if you do what you're supposed to do, what if you have a high social score? What if your social credit score is high? Well, now they give you perks. They'll give you discounts on your energy bills. They'll give you a hotel without a deposit. They'll allow you to boost your profile on a Chinese social dating site. I mean, literally, dating sites. And that's how much you're talking about the social engineering that takes place. Now, I know that's an extreme example, but I want you to understand the same concepts that were used in China to allow this social credit scoring system to be introduced is now being used in this infrastructure bill by introducing these mandatory reporting requirements for whether it's going to be a breath test device, whether it's touch-based devices. And look, these type of things already exist in technology. There's something called a scram device that people will put it around their ankle and they can actually determine whether or not they've been using alcohol or not. They are now introducing these devices into every vehicle that's going to be bought starting in 2026. So why do I say this? Look, I think it's important that people understand this. I have no idea how this is going to roll out from state to state. I have no idea how it's going to affect individual DWI cases, I don't know how it's going to affect your insurance rates, but I can tell you this: it will absolutely invade your privacy. And I can tell you this: there will always be collateral damage when something like this rolls out. And it's never a good thing when you lose just a little bit more of your liberties in the name of protecting you. I'm always suspicious when the state tells me they want to protect me. They're not my mommy and they're not my daddy. I don't need them to protect me. That's what we have as individual liberties and rights in the United States. So be careful about this new bill. Be aware of it if you go out and buy a new car. All right, I just wanted to share this with you guys. Listen.
Good fucking job, bro. Hampton Criminal Defense Attorneys. Subscribe to this guy's channel because obviously this guy fucking is putting it on the table for us to look at and find out exactly what's happening. And he also breaks it down for you guys right there. He put into context pretty much what he talked about so you guys can have a better understanding for that. I would say, I mean, did they already passed HR 3684? I'm guessing that shit's already been passed, right? So, and it's called the known as the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, right? That shit doesn't make any sense. It makes sense to them to take our rights away, but for us, we're only in the infancy stages of learning what the fuck it all means and what our rights are and how they're trying to take them away. But with that being said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. This dude did a hell of a job breaking that shit down for us. I just found this guy's channel today because it was sent to me. And I would love to interview this guy. I would love to, pick his brain. I gotta tell you guys, we're in the age of information. We should be fucking connecting with attorneys and not just paying them to, just to fucking try to interpret law for us in the courtrooms. We should be connecting with attorneys online, on the internet, on those attorneys that have YouTube channels, because I gotta tell you, there's a lot of attorneys out there that'll take your money knowing that cops will get off on qualified immunity. Maybe there should be some clause where you don't pay attorneys, if the cops get off on qualified immunity. Attorneys are not out here, really helping us in this auditing community unless it's on video and you get brutalized and you could sue for millions, because that's how they're going to make their money. They don't make real money on small civil rights violations. They don't. So they're not really trying to help us. We're kind of on our own, folks. We've been on our own for a while. Sometimes we have to pay attorneys fucking tens of thousands of dollars for a fucking misdemeanor case, or a fucking or a felony that should be a misdemeanor. It's sad to see what's happening out here, guys. I'll read a couple comments and then we'll call it. Yeah, no shit. Yeah, they can get our information from the cars that we already have as well, guys. A lot of the shit that we're afraid of, it's already here. It's already here. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope we learned something today. I know I'm not the nicest guy on earth, but I do mean well, and I try to bring this information forward. So, thank you guys for being here. I'm gonna shut this shit down. Peace out.